Greetings and welcome back to the channel. You're watching Unbiased Magic Reviews, the most objective magic review channel here on YouTube. Today I have another top 5 magic review for you guys. We're taking a look at my top 5 Gaffed card at any number effects. Now this represents over 30 years of magic that I've purchased, collected, road tested. That comes from magazines, books, lectures, standalone items. To put this top 5 list together for you guys, you're not going to find anything like this on any other review channel, which I'm sure you're aware of, which is why you're here watching my channel. As usual, I have no disclosures. No one has sent me any of this stuff that I'm reviewing for you guys today. I've set forth a very strict list of criteria that I use to put together this top 5 review. We're going to get into that in a moment. Then I'm going to go over some notable mentions. And then finally, we're going to take a look at the top 5 list that I have for you guys. If you are interested, you could take a look at my top 5 ungimmicked any card, any number effects that I put out about a month ago. It's here on my channel, and you can see how it contrasts with this top 5 review. So let's take a look at the criteria that I set forth for this review. So the first thing was I wanted only one deck in use. So any card at any number effects that use more than one deck, I just eliminated those. If you're going to use a modified Gaffed deck, then hopefully you only have to use one. If you have to use more than one, that's kind of weak. So I just eliminated anything that uses more than one deck. And if you are going to go down that route, you should probably just check out the original by Al Baker, because that's all you need if you're going to be using more than one deck. The next criteria was no difficult sleight of hand. I mean, if you're going to use, again, a modified Gaffed deck, then hopefully you don't have to do a lot of hard sleight of hand, because hopefully the deck is doing the heavy lifting for you. So I've eliminated any effects that rely on any difficult sleight of hand. My next criteria was no difficult memory involved, like no memory work, no memorized stack, no memorized deck. So all of that has been eliminated. So effects like, for instance, if you like Mark Paul's Affected by Berglas Effect, there is some memory involved. So I've just eliminated effects like that. Doesn't meet the criteria here. The next criteria I set forth was that the selection has to seem like a free selection. So the selection process has to be fair for the most part. The person has to make it seem like they really made the selection on their own. You're not forcing it on them, or it has to seem at least like they can change their mind multiple times before they make their selection. And then hand in hand with that was how they select the number. I wanted that to be completely free choice. So any of the multiple types of card any number effects where the person's selection is limited, where you say, you know, think of a number from 15 to 30, or those effects where you have a person cut off a group of cards and they count them under the table, all of those types of card at any number effects, I've just eliminated those, because I wanted the person to be able to freely name any number they want from 1 to 52. I think that that looks a lot more fair. So those are the effects that I've included here. Another criteria I set forth was I wanted the cards to be shuffled, because if you're not shuffling the cards, then the spectator is going to suspect that there's some order to the cards, and you don't even want to give them any excuse for why they're going to want to examine the deck really closely. So all of these effects I've included, the deck is shuffled either by you or by the spectator, or sometimes by both of you. And then finally, the last criteria that I've included here was that you're not going to use any silly extra items during the routine. So there's no dice, there's no cell phone, there's no business cards, there's nothing else that you're using to help you for the routine. So it's just a deck of cards, you and your spectators. That is it. So let's take a look at some notable mentions, and then we're going to get into my top 5 list. I have a few notable mentions for you guys, and these are all excellent card at any number effects that I think you're going to like, but they just didn't meet my criteria for this top 5 list. So the first one is the easiest card at any number effect that I know, and this comes from Greg Chapman. It's called Card at Any Number. It was published in his book, Details of Deception, which you can still pick up for $60. It relies on one simple principle, which allows the whole thing to come full circle. And like I said, there is literally no sleight of hand at all here. If you're interested in what it looks like, you spread a deck of cards out that you've shuffled right in front of them. You have somebody pull out any card out of the spread, which you show to them. You return it back to the spread. You close up the deck and you tell somebody that you want them to cut off a group of cards and count them quietly, which they do. Then they add the cards back to the deck and they give the whole deck a cut. So obviously nobody knows where their card is. Nobody knows how many cards they counted off. All you do is you just do a quick recap and you can let somebody count down to their number and they'll find the selection there. It looks like a miracle and it's really easy to perform, which is why I mention it here. Moving along, the next effect is from Hudson Taylor, and this was called a cantaloupe, and that came out on his DVD called Implausibilities. Now, that was put out back in like 2016. You can still pick up that DVD for $25. And the reason I'm mentioning this card at any number effect is because it does rely on the Pharaoh shuffle and the Penelope principle, which I touched on briefly in my last review. So that's why I'm mentioning it here. Several people asked me about other effects that use the Pharaoh shuffle. This is one of them. And for those of you that don't like the Pharaoh shuffle, I will also mention that there was a version of this on that DVD, which he called the Legend version, which only works like 30% of the time because you're not actually doing a Pharaoh. You're just offering the deck to your spectator and having them do a riffle shuffle on the table. So often it doesn't work out. But I just mention it because you don't always have to do a Pharaoh to do this effect. Now, if you're interested in what it looks like this. You take the deck and you divide it in half and you give it to two different spectators. You let them shuffle those halves. You have one spectator cut off a group of cards and just hold on to it, put it in their pocket. We don't even know how many that is. The other spectator, you have them look at a card, then they add it to your cards, and all you do is one Pharaoh. You do one Pharaoh shuffle. Then you have that other person count the cards that they put in their pocket. Nobody even knows what that number is yet. You count down to that number, and that's where the selection is. It looks like a complete miracle, and all that you need to do is one simple Pharaoh. It's not even difficult. So if you don't do a Pharaoh shuffle, then you really should learn how to do it because it's very useful. And for those of you that do the Pharaoh shuffle, I mention this to you as a notable mention so you can take a look at it. Moving ahead, we have what I consider to be probably the best card at any number effect that you can do over video chat, which was put out by David Jonathan. And that effect was thought of card at any number. You can still pick that up for $10 from Penguin Magic. It's a very simple card at any number effect. It's really an any card at any number effect, really, that you can do over your favorite video chat. And this is designed to be done with like a group of people. So if you have a group of friends and that you're doing like a session with on video chat, then this is the type of effect you may want to do. When you learn the actual secret and the method, you may be a little bit disappointed, but it really plays off well. And I think because it's so simple, I think that it's very effective, and I think you can get some really good results from it. So I mention it to you for those people that are interested in video chat magic. You may want to take a look at that. Moving ahead, we have a really old effect that was put out by Mike Rose called the Grail. This actually was marketed originally, I think, by Alakazam Magic, and you can still pick it up. I think it's being sold for like $22. Although I will mention an extension to that in a moment. If you're not familiar with the Grail, the way that effect looked was like this. You would put out a prediction and you'd have a deck of cards and you ask the spectator to name any number from 1 to 52. They would count down to that number and you could show that your prediction matches the card that's at that number. That was the original effect and it was called the Grail. Now, the extension to that was Carlos Vinuesa's book called Numbers, Cards, and Time. And basically he took the principle of the Grail and just expanded on it to try to improve it. And I think he's made some nice alterations to it, some nice improvements, some variations that I think you might be interested in. Again, you can also pick that up from your favorite magic dealer. I think that's being sold for around $28. So the last notable mention I have for you guys is one by Ali Mealing and expanded upon by Christian Grace. This is Shuffled Stopwatch. And for this, you're going to have to be a member of Christian Grace's Magic Monthly, which I think right now is going for $15 a month. Basically, Christian Grace took Ali Mealing's stopwatch effect and then just expanded on it. So now this newer version feels a lot more impromptu. You hand out sections of the deck to your spectators to shuffle, and then you collect the cards back. You take out your phone and you start the stopwatch, and you have one spectator come up with a card in a very simple way. By the time they come up with the card, you stop the stopwatch. You can let them count down to whatever numbers in the stopwatch, and they're going to find their selection there. That's basically what the effect is. It's really simple yet effective and impressive. And so I mentioned it to you guys here as a notable mention. Now let's get into my list of top 5 Gaffed card at any number effects. Let's take a look at my list of top 5 Gaffed card at any number effects. Now keep in mind that this list represents the magic that I have. So if there's an effect that you think belongs on this list, as long as it meets my criteria, just leave us a comment below. I've organized this in terms of difficulty from most difficult to least difficult. So number 5 is probably the most difficult one on the list. And since these are all Gaffed effects, meaning that the deck is modified, the degree at which your spectator can scrutinize the deck is different based on each one of these. And I'm going to try to go through the positives and the negatives as we check out the performances of these effects to give you a good idea of what you can expect here. And hopefully one or more of these pieces may pique your interest. So starting out with number 5, we have an effect called a Cannibal, which is the oldest effect here on this list. It was put out in 2011 on the DVD project called Nevermore by David Forrest and Matt Alnore. And this effect, what I liked about it was you spread a deck face up and you have a spectator think of a number which you write down, and you can let them make a free selection from the spread face up. And what's nice about this is that the spread really can resist some scrutiny from the spectator, and they have a real free choice from the spread. Afterwards, you give them half of the deck. You have them take out their selection, which only they know, and you can let them shuffle it back into wherever they want to. That feels really fair. And then afterwards, they can count down to their number and find their selection there. It is probably the most difficult version of card at any number that I'm presenting here to you guys. Let's take a look at the performance.
Hey Chloe, I'm going to show you something here that's a bit of a long shot, alright? Deck of cards, but before we get to these, I'd like you to name me a 2-digit number that's less than 50.
23?
23. I'll write it down on this bit of paper here, and we'll come back to it, alright?
Okay.
Now, what I'd like you to do is just to look through the cards and just think of any card that you see.
Okay.
It's free selection completely there.
Perfect. Now I'm going to shuffle the cards, and actually, what might be fairer actually, we can go for a real long shot here and have you actually shuffle your card back in yourself.
Okay.
So let me, it might be in this half, but if you see it, just take it out for me.
Yeah.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah.
Okay. And place it here, and then I'll place these here like so.
Alright.
And so let's just recap so far, alright? You've literally thought of any card. You saw the cards were different, obviously. And you've went through them like this. You've seen a card, you've thought of it, and you've kept it in your mind.
Yeah.
Now what I want you to do is to push it back in the spread somewhere, and then shuffle up the cards, you know, mix them, whatever.
Keep in mind the magician doesn't even know the card.
Is that fair?
Yeah.
That is fair, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we'll obviously add the rest of the deck like this, and we'll even go as far as to shuffle both halves together and give them a cut. Now be honest, do you know where your card is?
No, not a clue.
At this point in time, if I produced a prediction that accurately predicted the exact position of your card, would that impress you?
Yes, it would.
Yeah, it would impress me as well, because it's totally impossible because you shuffle it back into yourself, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing, it's not my prediction, it's yours. Right, take the, you remember the number? Number 23, right? And that was literally any number.
Yeah.
And you literally thought of any card and shuffled it back into the pack yourself.
Yeah.
The odds on your card turning up at the number 23 are quite literally astronomical.
Okay.
I trust me. I want you to deal, count down in the pack, one card for each number. Stop when you get to 23. 23. This is the 23rd card here, right?
Yeah.
Had you have stopped one card earlier on 22, it would have been different. If you'd have went one more to 24, it would have been a different card. But you said the number 23. What was the card that you thought of?
The Jack of Clubs.
I can't look. Turn it over.
All right, so you guys took a look at the performance and you're probably wondering what is negative about this. If anything, I would say the only real negative aspect of it is that there is some very simple mental calculation that you have to do, which is not difficult, but if you're totally against math, then you may not like this effect. I've had a lot of success with it, and what I really liked too was that the spread can really resist a certain amount of scrutiny. Of course, you can't just let them sit there and examine it forever. And this effect also cannot be immediately repeated. Those are probably the biggest negative aspects of this. But for those reasons, this is number 5 on my list of gaffed card at any number effects. Moving along to number 4, we have an effect from Boris Wilde called the Pure Any Card at Any Number effect. And this was put out on his Marked Deck project, which you could pick up for $30. You're going to see here that what's really nice about this version is that the selection and the number is a completely free selection, completely free number, and the spectator can shuffle the deck before you start. Let's take a quick look at it.
I would like to show you something with this deck of cards here, but just before, would you shuffle the cards, please? Would you shuffle the cards?
You know,
Yes.
I'm not very good at it.
Oh, no, you're probably good at that. You know, it's funny because magicians usually ask you to pick a card. And they say, oh, yeah, the spectator chooses a card. Well, you choose a card, but you don't really choose it, in fact. I mean, you don't name it. You just take a card and happen to discover what it is. Yes?
Yes.
And sometimes you're like, okay, well, that's a good card, but it's not probably the one you would have named if I would have asked you to name a card, right?
No,
so
true.
just shuffle a bit more, just make sure. If I would have asked you to, like if I ask you now to name a card, I don't know if you happen to have like a favorite card, a card you like.
Notice she shuffles really well.
Queen of diamonds.
A Queen of Diamonds. Any reason for that? You like because
I just think she's nice.
because yes, and first it's a queen, and diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Yes,
Okay,
exactly.
I agree with that.
Yeah, you knew that, didn't you, Boris?
Since you check the cards and you shuffle the cards, we can all agree that it's impossible for anyone to know, of course, where, you know, the Queen of
Where she
Diamonds.
is?
Yeah, it might be somewhere here. Nobody can know. You don't know. You shuffled. I don't know. Nobody knows, of course, right? Yeah, it's important because now I will ask you to. Could you name it? You could name a number. I say it could be like a low number. It could be like a big number because your card. We don't really know where the Queen of Diamonds is. It could be the top section.
Complete
could be the
free
middle section,
selection
could
of
be the bottom
number
section
as
of the
well.
deck. So there are 52 cards here. Basically, any number from 1 to 52, unless you have like a favorite number.
17.
17.
For no reason.
For no reason.
No, top of my
That's
head,
my
that one,
favorite
Boris.
number. I was
In
born
case you're wondering, you can also perform this without a table. You don't actually need a
Good
table.
connection here, I can feel that. 17. Right.
Yeah.
We can all agree that there's no way I could know in advance. You would say 17.
No,
Of course.
no.
There's no way I could know in advance that you would have thought of the Queen of Diamonds. Yes,
No.
that's the one? Yeah, Queen of Diamonds, yeah. So we can all agree it's really any card. And it's
Yes.
really any number.
Yes,
It's absolutely,
absolutely.
2 free choices, right?
Yes,
And this is the deck that you shuffled.
yes.
Uh-huh. You see where I'm going now, maybe?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, pretty much. Okay, so you say 17. Let's do it. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. 17 cards in my hand here, right? And the most interesting, of course, is this one here, the 17th card
I'm
underneath.
excited, Boris.
Oh my God, I can see that. But I can feel the excitement also because believe me, no, I'm going to do one thing and one thing only. I'm just going to do this little move to the camera and to you.
Okay.
So the card will be facing you guys. If that card, which is the 17th card in this deck that you shuffle, happens to be the Queen of Diamonds, it's going to be a freaking miracle, believe me. So I would just count up to 3. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
And of course here, this is going to be her selection. You can see, watch her reaction as he shows that to her. She really is pretty amazed by that actually was, because she really shuffled the deck pretty well. So I think she was very surprised by that. All right, so you guys took a look at it, and this is an excellent version of a gaffed card at any number. It's really an any card at any number effect. And probably the only real negative aspects of this is that you're going to need to have Boris Wilde's marked deck, because otherwise it would be very difficult to perform it. But with his deck, it's extremely easy to perform. And as I mentioned, there's no difficult sleight of hand. There's one extremely simple sleight, if you even want to call it a sleight. But it looks very fair, and as you saw that performance, he was extremely relaxed. I like it a lot, and if you have the Boris Wilde mark deck, then it's definitely a version of any card, any number that you should take a look at. Moving along to number 3, we have a card at any number effect from Robert Ramirez, and this directly came from his Penguin Live Act, which you could still pick up for $40. And what I really liked here was that the spectator feels like they have a really free selection. They really do. And they have a really free selection of the number. And as you're going to see here on this trailer, you're going to see that the cards are shuffled before the spectator even decides their number, and you never touch the cards. I mean, you never shuffle the cards or move any cards after they tell you the number. Let's take a look at that. Here you can see the selection is made very freely. The deck is shuffled multiple times very fairly. And then, only then, is a number from 1 to 52 named. No funny business, no more movements, simply count down to that number, isolate that card, and of course that matches their selection. So this is an excellent version of card at any number, and probably the biggest downside to this is that the cards really cannot be examined by the spectator closely, otherwise they would find the secret. But that being said, I think it's an excellent version that you may want to take a look at. I've had a lot of fun with it, and it's definitely something that works great as a closer to your set. So moving along to number 2, we have an effect that is called Position Impossible by Brent Braun. And for $40, you can pick up this effect, which is almost the perfect card at any number. And for some of you, this very well may be the perfect gaffed card at any number effect. You take out a deck of cards, and a card is selected in a very fair way. You shuffle the cards and spread them out, and you have another person come up with a number. You count down to their number, and you can show them that, you can turn the spread over and show them all the other cards are different. Let's take a quick look at the trailer. So here we're going to look at Brent Braun's Position Impossible. The selection process is very fair from a dribble, and the spectator really can stop you wherever they want to. They remember their selection. And that here the nice thing is that you're going to be able to actually shuffle the deck before you ask them for their number. So here you can see he does a shuffle. He's going to spread this out, and he's going to simply ask for a number from 1 to 52. And we're going to actually skip ahead to the counting. Let's skip ahead to that part now, so you can see what happens when he counts. He's going to count down to, I think it was 27 in this example. And there's some really nice little convincers built into this. Here he's going to isolate the 27th card. And then he's going to go into this where he shows that if it was, for instance, 28, you'd have had a totally different card. Also shows another example of another card randomly from the spread. would have been a totally different selection as well. And he even goes over another one here too. So lots of little convincers here, which is nice. And then finally here, you can spread these all out to show that they're all different, which is what makes this really convincing. And of course, she's looking for her card but can't find it. The only conclusion is it must be the 27th card. So you guys took a look at the effect, and I would say that it's almost perfect because you cannot hand that person the card, which is their card, their selection. You can't hand it to them. You can only show it to them. You can't even leave it face up on the table. And so for that reason, I think it's number 2 on this list and it's not number 1. But that being said, I think it's really as close as it gets to almost the perfect gaffed card at any number effect. I really like all of the little convincers that are added in there. So I think it's something you should definitely take a look at if you're looking for the perfect gaffed card at any number effect. All right, so for the number 1 pick of gaffed card at any number effects, this is an effect that I came up with myself many years ago because I could not find a card at any number effect that really fit my criteria. I wanted an effect that was reliable, that was really easy to perform, that I could perform completely surrounded, where one person would make a selection and they could change their mind multiple times in a fair way, where a second person would think of a number from 1 to 52, where I could shuffle the cards before they tell me the number and the selection, and then I simply deal down to that, and I could show them the selection very cleanly, and I could show them that the card before and after are totally different. So this was the criteria that I set for myself when I came up with this effect. Now I actually gave this away as a prize here on my channel 2 years ago, and a professional magician from Germany won the contest. I sent him my gaff deck with instructions, and since then he has told me that he has had a lot of success with the effect. I'm going to show you guys a live performance of my effect because I've been accused of not performing on this channel, which is hilarious because I demo almost everything I review, and I've done numerous live performances here on my channel. In any event, I'm going to show you guys a live performance of my own of the effect so you can see what it looks like. You know, it's an effect that I don't sell to anyone, but if you just watch the performance, you probably could figure it out. The actual principles involved are very simple. They're very old school. And so let's just take a quick look at my own performance of the effect so you can see what it looks like. And this will be the end of my top 5 gaff card at any number effects for you guys. As usual, if you have any type of questions or comments, just leave them below. I really hope you like my performance. I hope that this top 5 gaff card at any number effects review has been helpful to you. Hopefully you found a couple of things here that you like a lot, and hopefully you're going to use some of this stuff. Let's take a look at my performance. I'll show you something interesting here. Do you believe in intuition?
Yeah,
Do you believe it's possible for you to know something without knowing?
sometimes.
Sometimes? All right, so here's what I'm going to show you. I got a deck of cards here, and I want you to think of a number from 1 to 52, but I don't want you to tell me what number you're thinking of, okay? And take a look at the cards. Now, I could have you just take a look at the cards, and I could have you think of any one of these, but that would be, maybe you think I'd influence you in some way. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drop cards like this, and you're just going to say stop any way you like, okay?
Stop.
You want to stop here, or you want to keep going?
A little bit.
A little bit more? Okay.
Stop.
All right, take a look at your card. Flash it to them so they can see it, okay? All right, now, you have some idea possibly where your card potentially could be, correct? So what I propose we do is this. I'm just gonna give these cards a little bit of a shuffle. And just so you can see that I'm not cheating, I'll just do it face up here so you can see it, just like that, okay? Now, if you're thinking of a number, what number are you thinking of?
13.
13. So if I deal down 13 cards, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What would be the likelihood that this 13th card could be yours? If you had said 14, this is what you'd have gotten. If you had said 12, that's what you would have gotten. What card did you see?
Queen of Spade.
Queen of Spades. That's it, the Queen of Spades on the number that you called your card.